Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose, and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life.
I've shared with you many times the importance of understanding why we're here and what we have to offer, and also who we truly are as an energy and how we show up in the world. Each and every one of us has a unique way of uncovering that. As we shared many times before, we call them moments of choices, either conscious wake up or crisis wake up. But just because you have a conscious wake up, a quiet way of deciding that this is how I want to live life, and I'm going to live life differently, as authentically as I can, it is no different than if you reach that spot from a crisis wake up. When you uncover it and you start living your life that way, your authenticity is motivating others to do the exact same thing. We are most influential to not just the people that are closest to us, but we're really truly influential to everyone that we come in contact with. We're influential in the energy that we put out. We're influential in the example that we share. And when we share our gifts and talents through our example in a way that others can feel the high vibrations, the high frequencies of what we're bringing to the world, it truly encourages them to align with who they are. And now you're drawing more people into your life that are living their purpose and supporting each other in living the purpose. And that really opens the doors to so much more. Then every available opportunity will start showing itself to you in a way that you can be that example of authenticity. You can show general concern for your fellow man. And then, and only then, will you understand the importance of your purpose, no matter if you think it's a minor one or you think it's a major one in the world. You'll find that your purpose is exactly what you needed to be, what you needed to live, and what others need to experience. I'm with John Lee today. John is the founder of CustomMobile.app. They build beautiful branded mobile apps for content creators that monetize their audience. He also enjoys philosophical conversations on ideas like the relationship between free will and rationality, the relationship between purpose and meaning, the objectivity and obligatory nature of morality, the requirements for happiness, and the strange prepositions of underlying phenomena like general dysphoria. John Lee, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Vince.
You're so welcome. We've had some trouble getting together. I'm so excited to have you here today. John, could you share a little bit more about you and what you're doing through CustomMobile.app?
Sure. I am a father of a 6-year-old. He just started kindergarten 2 weeks ago. I'm a full-time software product manager. And then on the side, I have this side business called CustomMobile.app, where I create custom branded mobile apps for podcasters. I love small business. I love building my own business on the side. And like I said, another passion of mine is philosophical conversations. I love thinking through these conceptual, deeper questions. And I think it's really meaningful and important to explore these questions for myself and for others. So I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Well, you're at the right place. Imagine Miracles is all about digging deeper into why we're here, who we are, really the ways that we are meant to show up in the world. Uh, could you share with us a little bit more, John, about your philosophies on the way you look at life and how you bring more to it?
Yeah. Um, I think my thinking around this has simplified over the years. So if I were to put the purpose of my life in a sentence, at this point, it would be very simply to love God and love my neighbor as myself. So that is at the top of my pyramid of hierarchy of values, you might put it. At the very top is that, and everything else falls out of that. So focusing on uh, understanding and receiving God's love for me on a daily basis helps me to love the people around me, my family first, friends, neighbors. And that kind of applies to everything I do, right? My work in the workplace with my teammates, my neighbors as I pass them in the lobby, strangers even as I pass them on the street. So in increasing concentric circles out from myself, I see the purpose of my life as knowing God, and to know him is to love him. And then from that to love my neighbor as myself. So those people around me most closely, and then moving outward from there. For me, that's really simplified. Um, my priorities, my goals in life, everything after that is secondary. So career goals, goals I may have for my health, financial goals, all kind of drop to a secondary position from that primary goal.
John, as you were growing up, did you always hold this purpose? Did you always know this purpose?
No, I don't think so. I think this is something I've definitely grown into my adulthood. Yeah, when I was younger, I think a lot, just like a lot of younger people, we have short-term goals that are very powerful and that drive us, motivate us. So yeah, I've had many goals in my life, and I'm sure I'll continue to have many more short-term goals. But the unifying primary goal of my life has taken many years to crystallize. And I think only in recent years, I'm in my later 30s now, I think it's become much more clear and has pegged itself at the top of that pyramid much more firmly. So that I think in the second half of my life, it's going to be the guiding principle going forward.
And one of the things at Imagine Miracles, we talk about having moments of choice in our life, something that opens our eyes to looking at the world or looking at our life in a different way. We really look at them like wake up calls to wake up to fully who we are. Have you had any wake up calls in your life to help you step further into this purpose?
I can't think of any specific, like profound wake up call, but I do think as I've been getting older, every time I've encountered a personal friend or an acquaintance, or even a story that I've read online or read somewhere about how people suffer, and especially how people pass away at all stages of life, at all ages. This, I think, as I've gotten older, has become more and more impactful for me and shaped the way that I'm thinking about my future. So thinking about the time I have left on the planet as not a given by any means, it's a gift. Any time that I have is a gift. It's a privilege, and to understand and accept that my life can end really at any moment. So having a sober view of that and not taking that for granted. So as I read about maybe as I've gotten older and just have been maybe woken up a little more about the way different people live in different parts of the world, not just where I live here in the US, but all over the world, understanding that and accepting the fact that my life is also just as vulnerable and as fragile as everyone else's, and incorporating that into the way I think about my life now and in the future, not living for yeah, some of these things that are maybe too far in the future. Like a lot of people when I was younger, and even now would think about living for their retirement, saving up a big nest egg to retire with and be at ease and to live out your retirement in comfort and all that. I think as I've gotten older, that's become less and less of a priority for me personally, and thinking more about living in the present and making my life in the present as meaningful and as impactful as I can for the people around me, and not worrying so much about the future. Of course, we have to plan and prepare, but not taking it for granted either.
One of the things that you shared a couple minutes ago was the fact that there was no big or major wake up call. And I want to share with the imagination that it's very common for us to not have big wake up calls in our lives, or at least not have those big wake up calls until we don't pay attention to those smaller ones. Ones like you said, John, realizing that um, life is not a guarantee. We could be going at any moment. And if we want to share or deliver to the world our gift, that it's not ever too early to start that process. So wake up calls can come at any time, and they can come in any shape. They can be conscious wake ups or more crisis wake ups, the ones that we would consider a wake up, like a divorce or loss of a job, maybe even a death in the family. So I want to thank you for sharing that, because it gives us an opportunity to look at, now there's all kinds of messages showing up in our world all the time. Let me ask you this, John. As you started understanding that loving others was extremely important to you, where did that come from? Is that something that came from your early years as a child and you learned that, or did you pick it up later in life, the importance of understanding that we truly are all one, and is if we love our neighbors as we do ourselves, then we're also loving ourselves as we do our neighbors?
For me, primarily it comes from my faith. I am a Christian. I grew up in a Christian home, so that's just part and parcel of that worldview. But I also think the West is um, founded on a Christian heritage, and so that idea, I think, is just everywhere. Loving others is part of the moral framework that we in America and in the West are just immersed in all the time. So I feel like it's something that everyone knows, even if they don't, even if they can't articulate where they got it from. But yes, that that command, that priority for me comes primarily from Jesus' command to love your neighbor as yourself.
As you started moving further into really getting into the technical world and the understanding of how you loved that, what made your choices, or how did you make your choices to move into bringing the mobile app, if you will, to podcasters?
So yeah, my move into the technology field didn't happen until later in my career. Um, yeah, I don't know if we want to go into the entire flow, but I majored in animal science in undergrad. The path changed a lot during my 20s, where I worked in social work and lived internationally for a while, got a bunch of different experiences, went to grad school for business. And I think during my time in business school was when I first got a taste of what designing software feels like. And so I think that at that point, the bug was there, and I've been bitten by that bug for the past 10 years or so. I've been thinking about that. So my move into technology also was an evolution in myself, in the experiences of my life over the years. And in particular, the small business now it's just the latest iteration of a small business I started a couple of years ago. So I wanted to have my own business again, like not since the beginning, but really in the last, I want to say 7 to 10 years, I've been wanting to have my own business. And I wanted it to be like a technology kind of business. So initially I started by building an app for myself, like many people think, and I did as well. Let's build an app. And I decided to build an app. That didn't work out, but in the process, I learned a lot. And then through that journey, I decided to pivot the business to what it is now, to building mobile apps for podcasters and content creators, because from my personal experience, it costs so much money to build a mobile app. It's not accessible for the normal person, the average person. If big companies have the budgets to build mobile apps, but individuals certainly are not going to invest the close to $100,000 it would take to build a native mobile app. But in the recent years, more and more of these platforms have come up where it's much faster to create mobile apps and much more user-friendly. And so I think we're at a place now where it is accessible and affordable for most individuals who see the value of it to build one. And so we're an agency that can build very quickly a mobile app for anyone, any individual, any small business at an affordable price. So our plans they start at $25 a month. And for that, you can build a mobile app for your show, distribute your content, all kinds of content, not just your podcast, but website, blog, video, all of that can be distributed through your own mobile application. And most importantly, you can convert those listeners into customers, should you wish to do so. And I'm always encouraging my clients to think of themselves as small business owners and to think about how they can convert their listeners into clients or customers so they can continue building on their hobby and turn it into a business.
One of the things that we like to share at Imagine Miracles is that as we really start to find those things that we love, that we enjoy, that we're good at, we actually are living our purpose inside of that. So I'm going to ask you to step into the philosophical world a little bit here. Could you share with us how this love of technology, how the movement after business school and the decision to start your own business to really honestly help people get the word out, their word, share who they are and what they and how they want to help the world. Could you share with us how that love of technology is helping you live your purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And I want to emphasize what you said. I am an individual and my purpose is individual to myself. Everyone has different interests and they don't choose their interests. As I thought about that, I realized that interests pretty much choose us. We don't control what we're interested in. We just find ourselves interested in certain things, and that's going to be different for every individual. So combining that with my particular talents, again, everyone has different talents, different predispositions, personalities, and things that they're going to be better at than others. I found for myself at this point in time, I'm really interested in technology and I'm pretty good at understanding technical requirements and user requirements and wrapping those in a product that might be able to help people. So I'm living out my purpose according to my particular design, the way God made me and the interests he's given me. And I'm living it out by following my interests and my skills. So if I were speaking to others, if I were mentoring somebody younger, I'd encourage them to pursue their interests and understand their talents and see if there's a combination of those things, along with the opportunities to exercise those interests and talents and pursue that, because by doing that, you are pursuing your particular purpose. I think we started off the show sharing my primary goal, the primary purpose of my life is to love others and to love God. But the way that looks for each individual is going to be different. And the way that expresses itself in my life and in my work in particular is in this particular way. I work in technology and I help others use and adopt and create technology. But that's not to say that's what I'll be doing for the rest of my career or the rest of my life. I think people have many different purposes at different stages and seasons of their life. And so I think to keep an open mind about that as well. I don't think there's one thing that I am called to for the rest of my life. And that's something I've grown into. And when I was younger, I thought, yep, God has a purpose for me and that's going to last my entire life. And as I've gotten older, I don't think that's the case for most people. I think we have to be open and flexible and be able to live into the different purposes that God has for us through the different seasons of life, where He puts us.
One of the interesting things that I've found in the work that I've done with hundreds of people now is, in a lot of ways, we use our talents and gifts different. We find another way to bring more to the world, or pursue something that seems to us like we're off track, but a lot of cases, the underlying reason that we're here, shall we say, the thing that we actually bring to the earth remains the same, even though we step through maybe different careers, we step through different ways of doing things. It always seems to come back to we're living our core purpose in everything we do, as long as we're using our gifts and talents that were given to us, that we've developed, that we're looking for ways to take even further to help the world become more loving, to become more understanding of unity and oneness, especially in the times that we're experiencing right now. And when we live our gifts and talents, we move into the higher vibrations, and we move into the higher vibrations of happiness. And as I shared your intro, one of the things that was in your intro is the requirements for happiness. And I was wondering if you would share a little bit what you feel the requirements for happiness are.
Yeah, I'm just going to resonate with what you just said. I think happiness is a side effect. So if you are living into your purpose, and assuming that you also believe in a purpose and you know that purpose, to the degree you're living into that purpose, and you mentioned following your talents and your interests, happiness should be a side effect of that. Happiness should be a signal that you are in fact living into your purpose. So I think of happiness in that way. It's not something that can be or should be pursued for its own sake. I think you that's like a dead end. So looking for happiness or pursuing happiness for itself means you'll never find it. But if you pursue your purpose, you will find moments of happiness. You'll wake up and realize, oh, I'm feeling really good right now. And then you'll get back to what you were doing. So happiness has a side effect is what I was referring to there.
As a late 30-year-old, so in your late 30s, could you share with us in this moment, in this now, what difference you would like to make in the world?
In the world? Well, for me, being the best husband and father I can be is, again, top of the pyramid. So that's the highest priority. I have to be the best husband I can be. I have to be the best father I can be. Not to say that I succeed at that every day, but that has to be the priority. And I think as long as I can keep that at the top of the pyramid of priorities, the top of my value hierarchy, it's going to be through that primarily. And also just below that, my friends and family. That's going to be the way that I'm going to impact the world. It'll be through those relationships and through those people that I will impact the world, because they interact with their own sets of friends. My son has his own sets of friends, and there's a ripple effect from there, right? So if I can love the people immediately close to me the best that I can, then that'll enable them to do the same for those around them. And I guess in the larger scale, that's the way that my ripple will ripple out to a larger portion of the lake or the ocean, however you want to picture it. But yeah, that's my priority. I don't really see myself in terms of my work. I don't think the work that I do directly is going to impact the world. I think the people I work with and in those relationships, that's going to be the way that I'll impact the world. The way I treat my teammates at work, my clients, I think it's through those relationships that I'm going to impact the world.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for that share. One of the things that I would like to add to that, and maybe something that you could consider, the custom mobile app that you're talking about, especially when you're talking about podcasters or people who have a message that they know that they're supposed to deliver in some way or the other. And whatever that message is, I'm sure that there's going to be a major effect on the world with the messages that they share through their podcast. Hopefully, we'll reach out to many, and the message that we share and what you're sharing today will have a large effect. So I really see that you helping people get their message out is a huge effect on the world. And that's one of the things I want to share with the imagination. You might be surprised where you think that I'm not going to have that big of effect is really just coming from a place of not knowing exactly what's going to happen by what you do bring to the world. And I think John is really, with his custom mobile app business and giving people the opportunity to get the word out in bigger ways, I think we're going to see that John has a huge effect on the world, even through the business. So I really honestly, John, want to thank you for what you're doing. As a podcaster, I understand how difficult it is sometimes to reach the audience that you want to reach and share the message that you want to share. So I want to commend you for what you're doing in your private business, and even what you're doing in the technical world beyond that.
Thank you, Vince. I appreciate you promoting my business for me. I do think technology has an amplifying effect in general. So yes, absolutely, using technology to amplify one's message, that's going to happen. I think the point I was making was, for me personally, making a big impact is not that important to me personally, for my happiness, for my sense of fulfillment and meaning. But I do think the products that we build for our clients will amplify their messages, like you said, and in that way, yes, will impact more and more people in the world.
Let's look at it from the philosophical point of view, John. Could you share with the audience what you feel the positives can be in technology, and where, as individuals and as small business owners and entrepreneurs, where to watch out for some of the things that technology could bring into their business?
Sure. I think for me personally, because I work in technology, there's a funny thing that I've noticed. For people that work inside technology, they're very tech phobic, or they can be. And so even though I work on my laptop all day long, when I finish work, I turn off the laptop and I don't look at it again until the next work day. I'm not on social media other than to promote my business. I don't engage in social media to have conversations, to increase my network, stuff like that. I'm not scrolling through that. I don't actually watch any television. Podcasts are the primary way that I consume content, and have been for a couple of years now. So I think thinking of technology intentionally and as a tool, I think is important. I look at technology as a tool, and I want to build tools that help people. And so just being careful not to just float and let technology overcome your life, but to be mindful and purposeful about how you use it, because it is a tool that's supposed to help you, not detract from your life. Those most important things in your life, like your relationships, especially.
There's so many times that we've made technology our lives. So some of people, I'm sure, on this podcast that are listening right now, technology has become all consuming. And it's really, truly, as you said, so well that it's a tool to help us on this journey and not be the full journey. So I appreciate you sharing that. Believe it or not, John, we're getting close to the end of our time together. I was wondering if you could share a piece of parting guidance with the imagination to really help them understand the importance of their purpose and how to bring it to the world.
I think part of the reason anxiety and depression is such a big issue nowadays is because folks have lost their sense of purpose. They either don't believe there is one, ultimately, for the world or for themselves. And if they do believe that there is a purpose, there is like an ultimate objective purpose for themselves, they struggle to figure out what that is. There isn't much of a framework anymore, or guidance in the culture to what a good purpose, a worthwhile purpose is. But I think the only way to get to a better understanding of one's purpose is to first think about it. One of the questions that I posed to you and that I've been having conversations with others about is there an ultimate purpose? Like, is that an assumption that we're making? Is there actually a firm foundation for the belief that my life, in fact, has a purpose? That can be kind of depressing if you find that actually I don't have good grounds to believe that there is a purpose for my life. But for those that get to that point, I think it's also a good opportunity to think about, well, what do other people think about purpose? What are some other worldviews that place purpose very highly, like Christianity, for example? I'm a Christian, and I think this worldview gives a firm foundation for every person to believe in a purpose, not only for themselves, but for the entire world, human history. There is a purpose behind everything. And so, yeah, I'd encourage people to think about purpose. I think that's the why question, right? Nietzsche says, for the man who knows his why can endure any how, something like that. I just finished a book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and I read it for the first time a couple of weeks back, and that I think got me thinking about purpose much more intentionally. So I'd recommend that book. But yeah, the question of purpose is all important. So it's worth the time thinking about it and defining it and revisiting that question often, because I think having a firm and clear understanding of one's purpose is hugely motivating. It puts a fire in myself, and in terms of staying motivated to keep living and keep living well.
Yeah, I'll share with you that, so many times that we have this definition for things in our world and what they're supposed to look like, or how big it's supposed to be, or what difference it's really supposed to make. And what I found is, if we could just let the definitions of the collective society go and just allow ourselves to find those things that we're naturally good at, we're naturally excited to do, and understand that when we deliver those, there is a difference, and that difference will be a very good indicator of your purpose. But we tend to believe purpose is supposed to look this way or that way, or mine should be the same as someone else's, and it's such an individual thing. And I think that you shared that very well. John, I know people want to learn a little bit more about custommobile.app. There's a lot of podcasters that listen to this podcast. I'm in many, many groups that are really bringing materials to the world to help people see things in a different way. And I know those people will be interested also. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, your listeners can find me at custommobile.app. That's my website address. to see what we're up to and the projects that we're working on, some of our podcaster clients. We're also on Twitter and Instagram. You can find links to those places from our website as well. But I'd love to have a conversation with anyone on their business, but also on philosophy as well. I love having these conversations. And thank you for your time, Vince. And I enjoyed our conversation today.
Excellent, John. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you being here. Your answers are going to be so helpful to the imagination. And thank you for what you're doing in the world and really coming from the place of loving your neighbor as yourself.
Thank you, Vince. Have a great day.
On behalf of Mary, my wife and business partner, all of the people that work so diligently at Imagine Miracles, we want to wish each and every one of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 mind awakening steps toward your unique purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.